My INFJ friend, you already know you're rare, but this is something else. You know the INFJ, the empath, the seer, the quiet soul who feels everything and carries the weight of the world like a private burden? Now meet its most misunderstood evolution, the Sigma INFJ. This isn't just an introverted empath. This is an independent operator, a strategic lone wolf, someone who feels everything but is ruled by nothing. You exist at a strange electric crossroads, profound emotional intelligence on one side, a fierce, non-negotiable need for autonomy on the other. You read people like open books, yet refuse to be owned by their expectations. You care deeply, yet disappear without explanation when your soul feels crowded. You don't rebel loudly, you withdraw quietly. And somehow, that's more threatening. People try to label you cold, detached, intimidating, but they miss the truth. You didn't harden. You integrated. In this video, we're decoding the Sigma INFJ, the rarest psychological hybrid hiding in plain sight. The one who understands everyone and belongs to almost no one. We're breaking down the core traits, the inner contradictions, the silent power, and the cost of being this kind of soul. If you've ever felt deeply connected to humanity while walking your path entirely alone, if you've ever thought, I don't fit anywhere and I'm done trying, this isn't entertainment. This is recognition. If this resonates, pause for a second. Drop a comment. Tell me where this hit. I read them. I reply. And if you want more soul-level truth without the bullshit, subscribe. Now let's begin. One intense empathy meets fierce detachment. The paradox explained. You feel everything. That never went away. You still sense emotional shifts before words form. You still absorb moods like weather systems. You still know when someone is lying, hurting, pretending, or silently unraveling. But here's what changed. You stopped letting that sensitivity own you. The Sigma INFJ doesn't lose empathy, they discipline it. You learn often the hard way that constant emotional access is a liability, that overgiving attracts takers. That bleeding for everyone leaves nothing for yourself, so you did something radical. You pulled your energy back, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. Now your empathy is selective, intentional, guarded. You can sit with someone's pain without drowning in it. You can understand motives without excusing damage. You can love humanity and still walk alone. And yes, this confuses people. They expect warmth. They get depth instead. They expect availability. They meet boundaries carved in stone. You're not cold. You're contained. This is the paradox. You feel deeply, but you refuse to be emotionally hijacked. That tension creates power. Because once empathy is no longer compulsive, it becomes strategic. You choose when to engage, when to withdraw, when to disappear entirely. Reflection moment, be honest with yourself. Who benefited from your old openness and never earned it? 2. The shocking traits of the world's most independent empath. The Sigma INFJ operates on a different internal code. You don't crave validation, you crave alignment. You don't follow social scripts. You observe them and decide if they're worth your soul. Here are the traits people don't see coming. You're radically self-directed. You don't need permission, applause, or consensus. Once your inner compass locks onto a direction, you move quietly, relentlessly. You're emotionally literate but energetically private. You can read a room in seconds yet reveal almost nothing about yourself. People feel exposed around you and don't know why. You're allergic to bullshit, forced hierarchy, fake urgency, empty ambition. You'd rather walk away than play a game that insults your intelligence. You are comfortable being misunderstood. That's a big one. Most people panic when they're misread. You learn that explaining yourself too much hands power to the wrong people. So you let them guess. And here's the part that unsettles others most. You don't need to dominate to lead. Your presence alone shifts dynamics. People recalibrate around you, lower the noise. Choose words more carefully, not because you demand respect, but because you command awareness. 3. They understand everyone, but let almost nitrogen monoxide one in. You understand people in layers, their trauma, their defenses, their contradictions. You know why they act the way they do, often better than they do, and yet access to you is rare. Not because you're afraid of intimacy, but because you've outgrown careless closeness. You don't want many connections, you want true ones. Surface bonding exhausts you. Small talk feels like starvation. Emotional inconsistency breaks trust instantly, so you filter. You watch how people treat power, how they handle discomfort, how they respond when they're wrong, and if something feels off. You don't argue, you don't chase. You quietly disengage. This is where people get it wrong. They think you're distant. But distance is not your goal, safety is. You don't isolate because you hate people. You isolate because you love depth too much to cheapen it. Reflection check. Who has access to you right now, and have they earned it? 4. The reluctant leader and strategic idealist. You never wanted power, not the loud kind, not the kind that dominates rooms or feeds on attention. You wanted integrity. You wanted coherence between what people say and what they do, between vision and behavior, between ideals and execution. And somehow, almost against your will, that made you powerful. The Sigma INFJ doesn't chase leadership. Leadership gravitates toward them, because when chaos erupts, you don't flail. You don't escalate. You don't react just to feel in control. You slow down. While others rush to fix symptoms, you trace causes. While others argue opinions, you map systems. While others demand certainty, you tolerate ambiguity long enough for truth to surface. You're not just seeing what's happening. You're seeing what will happen if nothing changes. That's why people feel steadier when you're nearby, even if you barely speak. Your presence communicates something nonverbal but unmistakable. This can be handled, and that scares you sometimes, because leadership costs energy, and you already know how finite yours is. You've learned, often through burnout, that carrying responsibility without alignment drains your soul, so you hesitate. You resist titles. You step back when others step forward. Not because you lack confidence, but because you refuse to lead without meaning. You don't want authority. You want things to make sense. You want decisions anchored in values, not ego. In foresight, not impulse. In long-term impact, not short-term applause. That's what makes you a strategic idealist. You believe the world can be better, but you're not naive enough to think intention alone is enough. You understand leverage, timing, human nature. You know change isn't forced. It's positioned. And whether you claim the role or not, people already look to you when clarity is needed, not because you ask them to, but because you see what others miss. 5. A guide to the mind that craves depth but demands solitude. Here's the truth most people will never fully understand. Your solitude isn't loneliness. It's calibration. Silence is not emptiness for you. It's where everything real comes back online. You need quiet the way others need constant stimulation. Space the way others need reassurance. Distance the way others need validation. Solitude sharpens you. It organizes your thoughts, detangles your emotions, realigns you with what actually matters. Without it, something inside you starts to fracture. Your insight dulls. Your empathy leaks everywhere. Your nervous system stays on high alert, like it's bracing for impact that never comes. So you disappear. Not dramatically, not angrily. You just step away. You unplug. You withdraw. You return to yourself. And when you come back, you're different, clearer, stronger, more precise with your energy. This isn't avoidance. It's regulation. It's mastery of an inner world that runs deep and fast and needs space to breathe. You are not meant to be everywhere. Not meant to be endlessly available. Not meant to carry every emotional load placed in front of you. You are meant to move deliberately, to connect selectively, to impact deeply, not broadly. Depth has always been your currency. Solitude is how you protect it. My INFJ friend. You were never meant to be fully understood. You were meant to operate freely. You are the bridge between feeling and sovereignty, between compassion and self-command, between depth and distance. Your paradox was never a flaw. It was an evolution. Once you stop trying to explain yourself to people who can't feel your frequency and start honoring the way you Rewired, everything begins to settle. Your energy stabilizes. Your boundaries harden without becoming cold. Your path clears not because it's easy, but because it's yours. You don't need permission to live this way. You don't need consensus. You don't need to fit. You were never contradictory. You were integrated. You are rare not because you hide, but because you know exactly when to step forward. And that's a quiet kind of power most people will never understand.